Hello, everybody. Keep it rolling. We're at the last couple spots here. We're doing the cornerback rankings. Late night, wildin'. Hopefully, you guys don't hear background noises. There's hooligans running amok here on a Saturday night, Sunday, Easter, late night. Where the fuck is? We're doing corners. In case you guys couldn't fucking tell. Honorable mentions. Of course, got to get 20 in here. This class, I guess, is a little lower. The depth isn't as good as some people would like. I still think there's some solid guys in here that you could develop, but I'm a glass half full guy, as you guys have been hearing throughout these rankings. So, 20, we got Jabbar Muhammad out of Oregon, transfer from Washington, solid all around. Corner, no elite traits. I like him a lot. Quincy Riley, another good rangy athlete out of Louisville. Caleb Ransaw out of Tulane, another guy. Zal Frazier out of UTSA, taller athlete project, one of those guys that people love. And then talk about love, my boy Jordan Hancock out of the really good slot receive or corner. Isn't the best in man, but good zone, good tackler. He might play some safety in this league. Then we come to 15 through 11. Some of these guys could be probably are in people's top 10s. We'll talk about when we talk about Dorian Strong, just solid corner out of Virginia Tech, well-rounded guy. Upton Stout, one of the premier slot guys, I guess. Premier, I don't know, but one of the better slot only guys. Good athlete, good motor on him. Zy Alexander out of LSU, just another very talented LSU corner with a lot of potential. Darian Porter out of Iowa State, he's the guy people love. He's in a lot of most people's top tens. Tall, played receiver, but I think he's just so raw at that position. And didn't even start really this year. He only played so many snaps. I think he has a lot to improve. Just very raw, just athlete. I don't know if it'll translate into the league. I hope I'm wrong. And then number 11, another great slot guy, will be playing slot in the NFL. Jacob Parrish, smart guy, physical. I like him a lot because snuck him in my top 10. But I'm trying to have fun with these rankings, and I snuck my boy Denzel Burke in here. I don't give a fuck. Number 10, Denzel Burke out of again, a guy who I've seen more, I've watched more, I trust more than those other guys. They might have higher upsides, will more than likely be drafted higher than him, but I know I'm getting a solid, smart football player in Denzel Burke, and got to project his fourth, fifth round pick. You just want guys that can make the roster and make an impact for you at some level. Size freaks, here you go. Very good press guy. That's his main thing. He's a press man corner. Good backpedaling. I think he could be best at zone. He doesn't have the best long speed. The Oregon game showed you that, but it's not like he consistently got burnt his whole career. Literally that game, people are trying to define him with that, and that's just not how he ever was. He could get better with the fluidity of the hips and lateral movements, tackling. He's more of a dragging tackler, but he's a willing participant in the run defense. Gets in the backfield, gets to the point of attack quickly. It can help in gang tackles. A little stiff, like I was saying, is the most fluid hip guy and feet work and all that stuff. But I think a guy like Tyson Campbell, who developed into a solid, serviceable starter, I think he can be that, be a rotation guy. I even think he could potentially be a slot guy, a slot zone guy, like eyes on the ball, eyes to the quarterback. I think he's a very intelligent guy. and a well-rounded athlete, is the most elite guy, but solid enough for the NFL. As another controversial take, my boy Kobe Bryant out of Kansas. Like him a lot, man. He's just physical. One of those corners that'll get up in you and talk shit. He's just one of those guys. Very aggressive, good fluidity, good enough rangy athlete. He's taller, leaner, good ball skills to him, but the deep speed, he could get burnt, in one go routes, and just isn't the best in strength department, isn't going to come up and shed any blockers in the run game, and more of an ankle tackler. Got a comp of Emmanuel Forbes. Remember him? Thankfully, he will not get drafted in the first round and have all these expectations to him. I don't think Forbes should have ever went first round. Got in that position. He's on a new team now. We can hope and pray that he develops to a better guy than he was at Washington, because I thought he had potential to him, but just more time to develop. He's on the Rams now, so I think that's a good spot for him. He played all last year there, so I like Kobe a lot. He's one of my favorites. Again, he's not the most well-polished corner, but he just has the NFL build to him, I guess, look to him. Like him a lot. Willing to be an idiot on my rankings for him. As number 8, we got Azariah Thomas out of Florida State. Second round pick. Sure, he's very controversial. A lot of people love him. He's like high on people's boards, top 5. Other people out of the top 10. You know me, I'm in the middle. I can't agree with anyone. Let me be the odd man out on anything. Solid press, corner, strong, physical guy. That's, you see his build, that's just what he's going to do. Very good at mirroring, being in the receiver's pockets, making plays on the ball that way. But as you guys heard, his 40 time, he's the fastest guy. And it doesn't really, it doesn't, like, laterally and, like, vertically. And he's just a raw athlete. Like, he needs more technique just in coverage in general doing that. Think of Jalen Watson out of the Chiefs. A good, solid guy. Again, another guy I think can play inside maybe. He can play outside as well. Just needs to be developed more. He's a good athlete, but he doesn't have the speed for NFL receivers consistently covering. So you think about what system he's going to be in. But I think he's a good toolsy guy. Want to see how he develops. With number 7, we got Trey Amos out of Ole Miss, another second-round guy. Could sneak in the first round. The more I look at him, watch him, hear about him, the more I'm opening up to him. I was a little skeptical myself, but, transfer from Alabama, good instincts, good ball skills, can make plays on the ball, but a little stiff. And, eye discipline watching the quarterback, seeing if there's a run play or not. He can get better at that and might fuck him up on what could be bigger plays that he makes. Tackling is in, he's nothing special there, but, a good rangy cover corner has the size for you that you'd want in the NFL. I think someone like Carlton Davis is a good floor for him. Or middle, average it out. Good enough starting corner in this league. So, yeah. Pretty good guy. He's a good guy. Great mother. The macaroni and cheese. Good. She makes good food. I don't know. Maxwell Hairston out of Kentucky. I like him a lot. I guess he's like the 6 to 8 range, so I wouldn't say I'm the highest on him, but really good athletes. Good agility, fluidity, good IQ. He could dissect a play. Just isn't the strongest guy, isn't really going to do press coverage. So off-ball man, I think he can be good at that zone. Not the best tackler like I was saying, but I think he can be more willing to help in the run game. Good enough range to him. I think someone like Dante Jackson, who played good for us in Pittsburgh, was, I guess inconsistent in Carolina. He never reached the potential he was, but I think all around solid guy. He's going to be with the Chargers now. Again, I think that's a good comp, a good potential career he can have in this league. So, what the fuck? Number 5, Savone Revel Jr. out of ECU. Great athlete. One of the more interesting players in this draft. He's coming back from an injury. He played about like 3 games. I think he had torn ACL. So first, just second round pick. If he stayed healthy, he probably would have for sure been a first round pick. But he could get out of this just day 2. But again, great athleticism, rangy guy, versatile. Can play inside and outside, I believe. Good enough tackler. I think that can get better. Just his technique. He plays high pad level. He's a taller guy, so if he gets more leverage that way, that could help him. And then just technique and coverage anyway. A little grabby sometimes. He'll probably get some flags in the NFL. Once he gets beat, he'll hold on to a guy. So think of a big, tall, physical athlete at corner like Tariq Woolen for Seattle. He's, pretty good. Had a great rookie year, dipped a little, and now I think he's back to medium, and I think he'll be a solid corner. And Revel has the potential to be a really good corner. I really see it in him. I just need to see him get fully developed, fully healthy. Then I'll be really on board. But like him a lot, could have potentially had him higher. But these guys are more polished or developed and experienced and have achieved more. Jahdae Barron is my 4 out of Texas. Very polarizing guy. He's probably the most polarizing defender, almost, like him and Jalen Walker. What I hear, he's, corner 1, corner 7, 8, like he's all over the place. I got him as a first-round pick. He's just an intelligent football player, great aggressiveness, great zone guy, knows where to be in the spots, can make plays on the ball, good enough tackler. He's not the most athletic guy that you think, like on paper, doing all the tests and shit, but, I don't think it translated too much in on the film. I think he produced a lot, but I do have concerns of him as an outside corner. I don't think he can consistently do that. I think in spots he can. He's just man-to-man coverage. We haven't seen it. He's not really going to press you, and the long speed, 30 yards, I wouldn't be comfortable him covering someone one-on-one for 30 yards straight. But you guys know me. I value corners or slot corners. I think they can and should be first-round guys. Think of a guy like Kenny Moore, really good, one of the better slot corners, in his prime there in Indy. I do like him. I do like him a lot. I guess I'm not in love with him, but I definitely not hate him. I'm definitely not close to those people, but I'm hearing both sides. It's funny discourse, for the draft. I'm here for it. But I do think he can be a solid player in this league, and hoping that he does. I think he's a fun player to watch. Number 3, Benjamin Morrison out of Notre Dame. Second-round pick because of his hip and shoulder concerns. Big injuries. He didn't play but like a couple games this year. But very good technique. Just a polished corner. He knows how to play the position. Good ball skills. Ideal build for you, but, just not really good of a tackler. Just the technique's not there. He's not the most twitchiest athlete that you'd want, especially with his hips now hurting. Can he be the lateral guy? Like in zones, sit there, see ball, run around here, catch, do shit like that. I'm just saying words. I hope this is working. But Kyle Fuller, remember him, folks, with Washington and the Bears. Had some Pro Bowl years. I think that's a very good piece. If he gets healthy and he can be his true self, I think he could be one of the better corners in this league. Top 20-ish corner. 20 to 15, I really believe that he has that talent in him. Just hopefully he can, get healthy. Good physical football player, captain, all that jazz. Number 2, Will Johnson out of Michigan. first round pick. I guess he's had a lot of detractors too. It's again annoying, aggravating that I have to defend one of these people. And when I mean those people, I mean those people from that shitty ass state. But they say his, just like Benjamin Morrison. I guess I'm doing the theme of, me liking a guy from their 2023 tape. Yeah, it just he doesn't have the long speed, obviously. But he had injuries all year. He had a turf toe, which is a nagging, doesn't really go away injury unless you really get the rest that you need. But very instinctive football player, see ball, get ball, good ball skills, great fluidity, laterally. Again, like Jade, great zone guy. A lot of people think he can just be an outside guy. I think he would be a really good slot. I don't. Maybe again, he just doesn't have the speed and tracking the guys in the slot, but would have to maneuver over linebackers, come back to the guy. But I think he could do that. I mean, he's not the best tackler. That can get improved, and he's another guy that can get grabby when beat. One-on-one downfield, but. If not, just stick him at outside. I think that's primarily what he's going to be and should be. And a guy that I love in the league, J.C. Horn. I think he, highly, one of the highly talented, skillful, intelligent players. Just knows football. I think Will's that. I think he's a top 15 player in this draft. Maybe top 10. Without the injuries, and yeah, again, I don't see how he has a bad career, but maybe he will, and if he does, fuck him anyway. So number one, we got Travis Hunter, of course, out of Colorado. I told you guys he'd be here. Do the Heisman on that hoe. 05 Reggie Bush on these bitches. He's just a one of one, man. He's just one of the better prospects, probably the best prospect I've scouted since just watching and reading shit and making keynotes. I'm not like these other dorks that really think they could be GMs and shit. I just do this for fun. But great ball hawking, because he's a fucking receiver playing corner. Like he knows. He has, again, IQ, very more intelligent than you think, playing both sides, having to understand both sides of the ball. Good burst, especially in zone, like that UCF play. I'm sure you guys know that pick where he did this pose afterwards. Like he was in zone covering the receiver, sees the fullback, running back guy, doing a little drag or curl out wheel route, stopped, playing his foot, runs, gets the ball. I mean, just that quickly to be able to pick that, just good shit. Willing tackler, isn't the best. He's not fucking Antoine Winfield out there, but who is, especially in this corner class. But good enough tackler. Just instinctive. He just knows where the ball is, makes plays on the ball. But cons. He's not the fastest guy. He can get beat, by faster receivers. Kyle Williams, or my boy Torrey Horton, Alec Iamaner. I mean, he's not really fast, but sometimes the technique isn't there, or he's too confident in his athletic ability. That his feet work isn't good, and then press technique. He's not the most consistent press guy. He's I'm gonna just, follow you with my athleticism, as the battery is turning low. But a guy I loved, prime Patrick Peterson, just one of the better athletes at corner, just solid guy, perennial Pro Bowler for years in his prime. I think that's what he's going to be. Especially if he plays more of just corner, but I think he'll play both and be one of the better athletes we've seen. Just a fun player, fun prospect. I don't know why you wouldn't like him, but we've already talked about the Colorado situation. Just being around Deion Sanders. It's a sad thing to see. But again, he was literally coached at his position by the best player to ever play his position. So what do I know, folks? I'm just some dumbass in a empty apartment. But as always, this has been your boy King Kaleb here. We're going to finish it off with safeties, folks, and I'm going to give you guys my mock draft. But this has been your boy here signing the fuck out.